Yo, what's up guys? Universal Mastery. So what I do on my channel is I break down the occult and I break it down to a practical level so that you can apply it in your day-to-day life and get real results. So what I'm going to be talking about today is something that's very potent, very powerful, and very important to know. And it is just going to add some extra, give you some extra knowledge and just put some extra advice out there for the current situation that we're in now. So what I'm going to be talking about is a specific spirit that can, one, protect you from the coronavirus, or one, pretty much take it away from you. Okay, completely take it away from you. So if you want to know what that spirit is, stay tuned. Alright, so first thing first, I'm gonna go into depth on this video, okay? And I'm gonna share some stuff with you guys that I haven't necessarily shared with the public. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, so let's see here. So I've been traveling through the tree. In other words, I've been working through different spheres, different planetary essences, and with those different planetary spheres, there's been different deities that are correlated to that. The second to last sphere for me was the deity that was attributed to that sphere, and the planet was Uranus, is Beelzebub. And I started working with Beelzebub, and Beelzebub is known as the Lord of Flies. You guys have seen my other coronavirus video. Maybe you guys have seen my other coronavirus video where I talk about Beelzebub and Kronzon being two major deities that are ushering in the coronavirus. So then you guys might be thinking right now, like, why are you bringing up Beelzebub's name if you're talking about, you know, a spirit that can heal you from the coronavirus and a spirit that can protect you from it? So the reason is because when I started working with Beelzebub, this is literally, I want to say a month and a half ago, and I want you guys to really hear what I'm about to say. I started working with Beelzebub, and he's known as the Lord of Flies, and some energies that are attributed to him are energies that are like addictive energies, things that can make you addicted, whether it's having sex, whether it's, you know, drugs is a very common one, whatever drug of your choice. And this is just the energy that he emits, amongst many other types of energies, but in order to initiate and strengthen your relationship with him, a lot of the times when you're dealing especially with dark entities or dark daemons, in order to strengthen your relationship with them and then experience the energy that is going to really serve your life, you first then have to be tested by that daemon. So when I was working with him, I started, there's this thing called kratom and kava, and I started drinking like tons of kratom, and I don't necessarily normally do that. So I started developing this it seemed to be this addiction, and then I started smoking like those little puff sticks. I don't usually do that, okay? But I was doing it while I was in the sphere, and the next thing you know, like, I'm having like a lot of sex. Like, I was actively looking to have sex when usually I don't do that. Like, usually I'm focused on other things, and then when I find, when there's a situation where, I meet someone that I like, then it may go in that direction. But I was actively looking for it. Like, I was on my online apps actively looking for sex, and that was another influence of Beelzebub. But what also happened, he's also known to be the Lord of disease. and bringing sickness. And that's where his connection is with the coronavirus and any type of sickness. And what is well known is that when you work with Beelzebub and you're trying to build a relationship with him, you're trying to strengthen a bond with him, a lot of the times, and I don't know a percentage, but I would say probably 99.9% of the time, the person that's trying to strengthen their relationship with him is going to be extremely tested by him. Tested on a level where they do develop some form of sickness. Not to say it's going to last forever, but it's up to the adept, it's up to the individual, or it's up to the magician to be able to pass that test. Meaning you get sick and you don't lose your mind, you don't freak out, and you don't go to the hospital and get on a bunch of fucking meds. You work with Beelzebub to work through it. Okay, and let it pass through your system, and then what it turns out being is that sickness that he bestowed on you and let into you actually ends up transmuting your system and healing you. It's almost a level of changing your genetic codes. So for me, when I was working with him, I developed a lung problem where literally for 2 weeks it was to the point where I would breathe in to my best ability, and it was so repressed that I would see stars when I would breathe in. Come to find out, this is about a month and a half ago, so this was 3 weeks roughly before coronavirus was even talked about, before anyone knew what the fuck it was like even really about. And I mean the masses in that sense. And I will be honest with you, I was a little bit worried. But I also had a very solid understanding that this came from Beelzebub, and I trust Beelzebub. I like Beelzebub. I have a pact essentially with Beelzebub. And I know that this is going to make me stronger, and he's not going to put me in a situation that I can't handle. Just like my higher self. And I wouldn't have been allowed to be in that situation if I couldn't handle it. Okay, this is where self-help, this is where self-awareness teachings can come in. This is where your mindset can come in. You got to know when these beings test you on extreme levels like that, you have what it takes. You wouldn't be tested on that level if you didn't have what it takes. And, sometimes it can get a little extreme, and, people will psych themselves out and then they don't pass these tests and they freak out and they run the other way, but not in my case. So I developed that lung problem, and for about 2 weeks, I had to really focus on my health. I would make sure I would get green juices. I stopped doing the things that I was doing. I stopped hitting those vape pens because it was literally getting to a point where I couldn't breathe. Like literally to the point where if I was making the wrong decisions for my health, that could have been my life. That's what it felt like to me. But also, what ended up happening was in that state of mind that I was in, because my breathing was repressed, it put me into a completely different state of mind, a very, very potent and powerful state of mind. Because as you know, your breath has so much control over your reality and over your energetic body and over the spiritual realm. So to repress the breath like that, I had some very powerful spiritual experiences, because I was definitely, during that time, I was also focusing a lot on my meditations, because that's all I could really do. I didn't, I felt exhausted. It was bad. So, now eventually it passed through my system. I worked through it, and now Beelzebub shows up all the time. If I could turn this camera around and show you, there's a wasp nest that is right there, just on the outside of this window that I'm looking out of, and then there's another wasp nest that's right there. They're like right next to each other, like this. There's 2 wasp nests, and ever since I started working with Beelzebub, literally since the first day I drew his sigil, I saw like 15 flies in my restroom. There's no reason why they should be in there. And I've mentioned this to you guys before. I even have a video of it for those of you who don't fucking believe me. But there was 15 flies. I drew a sigil. And now that I've been working with him and I've built a relationship with him, I see flies all the time. Like flies in a good way. And it's not like I see it and I'm like, oh fuck. I see it and I know that it's a good sign. And what I'm getting at with these wasp nests is that they're literally right in front of my altar. One's on this side, one's on that side. And for those of you that don't know, that's a gateway. That's somewhat of some form of a gateway. I always, like, whenever, you can always tell a gateway is something that's like something's on this end and something's on this end that's very significant. If it's symbolism, that can very well mean that is a gateway. So there's a gateway that Beelzebub has created in front of me, and I believe it has a lot to do with flooding the things that I want into my life, whether that be health, that be abundance, and be self-improvement, because there is a lot of symbolization with these wasps because they're forming their nests. And once again, it's right in front of my altar on both sides. And they weren't there until after I had worked with Beelzebub. And you know, when a wasp forms its nest, it crystallizes. The honey will crystallize eventually, if there is, you know, honey in there in the wasp nest. But yeah, it's the nest itself is going to be honeycomb shaped. So there's just a lot of symbolism in that. But yeah, what I'm getting at is now with the time frame that we're in now, with the coronavirus being the way that it is, I necessarily I don't pay it any fear. I'm aware of it. I'm aware of how people are acting through it. I'm aware of what's going on in society, all those things, but I'm not feeding into it. I'm not scared of it. I'm actually using this time frame as a massive opportunity because there's so much chaos in the air. I can manifest shit like that. It's amazing. And I know where we're headed, and I'm actually doing rituals, very powerful rituals, to help usher in the evolution that needs to be brought to mankind. So very powerful stuff there, but hold on one second. I thought someone I knew was pulling up. So what was I getting at here? So when it came to the coronavirus, I actually just recently started studying what are the symptoms of the coronavirus. I'm just curious. I want to know. And for those of you that know, I'm sure you guys know that most of the symptoms in the coronavirus are lung repression. It's like a lung problem. And when I started reading through all the symptoms, I started studying it a little bit. I started to realize I believe I had the coronavirus. Every single symptom that attributes to the coronavirus attributed to how I was feeling when I was working with Beelzebub and couldn't breathe. And I started putting the pieces together, and then I got that gnosis that said, yes, you did have the coronavirus. Because what I had thought it was those vape pens, but I never had that happen to me before, so it didn't make sense to me. And whenever I drank water, the lung problem got worse. And for those of you that know, when the coronavirus hits you, it's an extra buildup of fluid in your lungs, so that it like clogs it, and it gives you a sense of, you know, you can't fully breathe because that fluid is clogging everything, and then it causes certain cells to overproduce, and then because of those cells overproducing, they pretty much go on a mass destruction and they destroy the insides. So I would drink more water trying to help myself, and it would get worse, and I was so confused. So I was like, I was going delusional, literally. But sure enough, you know, I came out of it. It went away. But what I'm getting at here is I realized that I had it. I had coronavirus. For me, the flu-like symptoms weren't there. I didn't have a cough. I didn't have a flu. It wasn't like that. But I had the breathing problem way before anyone was talking about this shit. Way before. I have friends that I was telling about this when I was having that lung problem, just letting them know this is what I'm going through. This is what the Spirit's teaching me. All these things. And they remember, now with the coronavirus being out, they look back and they're like, damn, that's so strange because you were just talking about that before this thing had blown up. So what I'm getting at here is I did my little spiritual research as well. I channeled the spirits. I had a conversation, very in-depth conversation, and they said, yeah, you did have corona, pretty much way before most people were even talking about it. And I can't speak for other people. There may have been other people that had that same thing happen to them. I'm sure there is. You know, obviously there's somebody out there that has had it way before it was blown out of proportion in the media and in the news and things like that. But I was one of them. I had it. I didn't have the flu symptoms, and it was very strange for me because, I started asking Beelzebub like what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on with this coronavirus? And what he keeps telling me is that it's meant to transform you, and it's not it's a very beneficial thing to essentially, if you get the coronavirus, if you get it, you're supposed to get it. You're supposed to. And this may shock a lot of people that are watching, but if you get it, you're supposed to get it, and you're supposed to heal yourself through it. It's like the same thing that I went through. You got to work through it. It's a time of massive self-discipline. It's a time where you need to really work on your health. You need to work on your breathing. And it's a very healing thing, actually. And once you work through it, your body is actually forever going to be transformed for the better. For the better. And this is what he's been saying. And now that I've worked with Beelzebub and I see flies and I attribute flies to him, or any type of like insect that resembles that, what's been happening is, everyone's freaking out about the coronavirus and all this, and people are just, scared to get sick in general. Well, I was sitting in my car the other day and I just saw all these people like afraid, like wearing their masks and gloves and everything, and a fly flew by me. Like, just a fly, and it flew right by my arm, and I think it landed on my arm. And I literally picked up a specific message from that fly, as if Beelzebub was speaking to me through that insect. And what it told me was, Jeremiah, since you initiated through that you could say that disease, that version of not being able to breathe, since you've built your relationship with me, since I initiated you, since you trusted yourself, since you trusted me, since you made it, since you did your best to move through that initiation, that challenge, now I'm going to take your sicknesses away, and I'm going to protect you from from any sickness that's going to not serve you. And the way he said he's going to do that is the flies will come around and they will literally spiritually, if you could imagine this fly coming and taking away a sickness, just like a fly, or just like insects sometimes will land on things and then they will fly away. They will take what they need and they'll fly away. Like a bee will land on a flower, take the pollen and fly away. And a fly may land on whatever, maybe it's trash or dung, but they're landing on it, they're getting what they need, and then they're flying away. It's the same concept. Like, if you could imagine spiritually, like a fly flying around, taking an energetic property of like, let's say some sort of virus that is not going to serve me or whatever, and just fly away. And I'm naturally I'm already pretty good when it comes to sickness. Like, I don't really get sick too often anyways. But that was a very clear message that I got. And I think part of the reason why I got that message was because that's an ability that he can give somebody. And I'm truly a strong believer in that. So pretty much what I'm getting at is Beelzebub can, yes, totally protect you from the coronavirus, and he can heal you from the coronavirus too, if you have it. And he's told me that. But this is the thing, for those of you that are like, okay, well, now I'm going to go work with Beelzebub, you also have to remember what I said. When you want to build a relationship with Beelzebub, he's not just a spirit that you're going to call on and say, hey, look, like, protect me for this, and that's it. He's not a demon. Okay? He's not fully just, he doesn't fully just want to essentially just do what you ask and then be done with it. He wants to build a relationship. He wants to go deeper. He wants to go to that next level. So remember, before you work with Beelzebub, that there is going to be some sort of connection or bond that you're going to have to form. But if you choose to do that, and it will be intense. Remember, Beelzebub is a very powerful daemon. He's the same deity as Belial. And for those of you that know, Belial is like literally, he is one of the rulers of Earth, of the sphere of Earth, a ruler. And he's a very serious deity, very, very important deity when it comes to traveling through the abyss. But once again, if you're looking for a spirit to work with, and you're on this path and you're willing to walk that path, then you want to work with Beelzebub, especially during this time, because he's going to have a lot to share with you, and he can protect you from tons of things. So yes, Beelzebub will protect you from these things. So if you start working with Beelzebub and you develop some sort of sickness, do not be afraid. Acknowledge that it's from Beelzebub. Acknowledge that he's trying to help you. He's trying to teach you through that sickness, things of that nature. But yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap this video up, because that was the message that I want to share. It was a very interesting thing that I figured out, and I think it's very, very powerful, and I'm glad I shared this with you. I think it'll offer some of you value, especially for those of you who watch and actually take these practices seriously and actually apply them. You can get a lot out of this. So other than that, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Take this, run with it, take it for what it's worth. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and also hit the notification bell, because I post videos as often as I can. If you want to get your Hecate sigil merch, okay, very powerful sigil, go to the first link in the top of my description. That's going to be called Streamlabs. Go ahead and place your order, and they'll deliver it. They'll ship it straight to your door. Then go to the link below that. That's going to be my Facebook community, where I want to get a lot of like-minded people in one area, and I post extra content on there as well. So definitely make sure that you join the Facebook community. And I'm going to have my Patreon coming very soon, so stay tuned to that. And other than this, I'll catch you guys on the next video. So have a great rest of the day or night wherever you're at. Peace.